Hi, good evening, everybody. And how you doing? How you doing? How you doing? Jack Dawson, first one in the ballpark. Good to see you, brother Jack. So I was on earlier doing a just a quick broadcast stream tutorial thingy for Larry, but I thought we would go over just a very quick review because I noticed uh, special things you got to do with Cleveland. That you got to do with Cleveland. So we're going to just kind of review workshop stuff, uniform stuff real quick, ballparks, and then we're going to play an exhibition game. And John DFW is saying, "Hey, Beats." Hey, John. And Philip says he can't stay long, but he wanted to say hi. Well, thank you, brother, for stopping in anyhow. Always great to see you, Philip. And yes, you picked a great matchup the other night. Cardinals and Brewers. We'll continue that series. So excellent, buddy. Have a good evening. All right. So Larry had said that he was having trouble locating the Tigers away uniforms for 1968. So being the dude that I am, I created the 19 or put the 1968 season in out of the park baseball, and kind of went over all of that. So and I did look at the comment again. He did buy it on Steam. So let's go from there. So the very first thing, as we talked about earlier, when you subscribe to something in the Steam Workshop with pretty much any other game, it just will download it. When you fire up the game, it's installed. So you have to remember with Out of the Park Baseball, you have to subscribe to it. It will download, but then you've got to go into Workshop Central right here, and you've got to make sure that everything that you subscribe to, you also have to install. So it's just a one-time process. Yes, Mike's ballparks are there, and you will see them tonight and a little bit when we do this 1968 game. And in fact, the other night when we did Brewers Cardinals, 1964 Cardinals versus 1982 Brewers, both ballparks are in. So yep, and so are the ballparks, or so are the uniforms. Those are the things that get forgotten, which is they're just as great a work. So yep, they're in. Mike got them up there day after release, or day and a half after release, I guess it was. All right, so just remember to do that, okay? Also, as I suggested in this earlier tutorial, that you go into your Windows Explorer, go into Windows Explorer. Just one of the ways to get used to Out of the Park Baseball is to go into Windows Explorer. So if you bought it on Steam, this could be in Program Files x86 Steam. If you bought it for directly from the developers, it's just going to be Program Files Out of the Park Development. All right. So anyhow, we're going to navigate here through the Steam thingy here. There we go. Steam apps, common. And then you just go to your out of the park directory, go to data, and then just have a look at the directory structure just so that you know where things go. So photos, those are player photos. All the uniforms are going to split up into all kinds of different directories for Mike's uniform mod. Ballparks have their own. Um, and they're going to take about 9 gigabytes if you put in Mike's and AS Rifkins and Flying Canucks. Talking about almost 10 gigabytes, but it is, yes, we owe Mike huge thanks every year. We definitely do. So when you're installing things into Steam, it's good to understand how the directory structure works. You don't have to be an expert in it, but like you can look at all the databases and stuff and just see just where they are. Okay. All right. Now we're going to go ahead and we're going to load. Or we're going to continue with the 1968 season, and we're just going to play an exhibition game in a few minutes. But I wanted to talk a little bit first about once again about uniforms. So we're going to go to we are at the Tigers' homes. We're going to go to the Tigers' home screen, and we're going to go actually to the Cleveland Indians. Because the Cleveland Indians now, you have to do something special, and that includes the uniform mod. Jeff Ray, how you doing, man? He says, if I did a tournament last night, I missed it. Could you show it tonight? Thanks to SGA Jamie, you have Silva's, Parks, and Unis. Absolutely, man. They're great. Crusader, how you doing? Were these updates made available for non-Steam Out of the Park 27 users? I believe, Crusader, what you'll have to do is check the Out of the Park forums to see if the ballpark uniform mods are in there. Mike usually does put them in there, so you definitely will want to check that out. I don't know. I used to buy the game from the developers and Steam, but I found that I was always playing the Steam version because I don't have to keep it updated. So I would check in there for in the mod section, Crusader. All right. The tournament last night, or the tournament we did the other night, we just did game one, Jeff. So we got a little ways to go with that one. Let's talk about Cleveland here for a little bit. As you guys know, Cleveland has stated that now, like, moving forward, and this has been, I think, for the past two editions, that the name has to be the Guardians. But we've already shown before how you can change the name to the Indians because I think we need to be faithful to history. But the other thing is, with Mike's uniform mod, it's still going to bring in the Guardians logo, and the uniforms aren't going to quite be correct. So that's why I thought it would be really nice to kind of just show it, because you may run into this with Cleveland Indians. Or Cleveland. So the first thing is, when you want to change them to Indians, make sure after you type Indians in here, you hit enter, or and then you'll see the name change. Either that, or they're going to be Guardians for their whole history. Okay. And I'm going to pop out comments. Oh, how to set up a tournament? I can share that really quick, Jeff, before we jump into a game. I'll gladly do that for you, buddy. All right. So that's the first thing you got to do with Cleveland. Next thing is when you go to uniforms. Uniforms are tricky because I was looking through all the teams, making sure I had everybody set for high socks because I just think they look really cool and more 1968. Is that I noticed that the Guardians logo was here by default. So, but the game was smart enough to realize that I'm in 1968. So just remember, you can do the auto load thing, and if it's not loading up that logo as I showed you in earlier tonight, you can always go to select, filter it, and you can get Chief Wahoo in there, and you're set to go. But I've checked everybody out, and everything looks pretty good in 1968. Okay. So that was it. Now, quickly for ballparks, for all your teams, when you want to edit your ballparks, first thing is when you go to park profile. If this in here is a photo of Citizens Bank Park and you're not using Citizens Bank Park, the first things that will tell you is that you don't have the park effects loaded. Now, with Mike's mod, you don't have to worry about the park effects. But if you're putting in your own ballpark, so this is for those of you, right, who maybe want to try some different ballparks or whatever, and if it has a PRK file in the directory, which is easy to find, you want to make sure that you have that. Okay, that's really all I had to say about ballparks. Is just that, and you can look at that park and also pictures and coordinates. Okay, and you can see it's even showing you that the file that's in there, and there's the 3D model. If it's an OBJ file, it's one that Mike made. If it's a POD file, it's one of the parks that comes with the game. Out of the Park Baseball comes with the 30 current ballparks. All right, now to Jeff's question. Jeff, this is very, very easy. Okay, so go to new game, and then what you're going to do is just go right down to historical exhibition. So you can play any two teams against each other in baseball history. Okay, so going back to the dead ball era, so you can't go further back than 1901, but most folks here don't do that anyhow. In the regular game, you can go back to 1871. All right, you can just select a World Series if you want. All right, any World Series. This is split up by years, goes all the way up to last year's series. But if you want to set up a tournament, let's say you wanted to make a 20-team tournament. Now, the next thing that you're going to do, actually, let's make this really quick, because I don't think I need to do this 20 times. Let's make it a 10-team tournament. Okay. So baseball, or out of the park baseball, very, very nicely splits things up into eras. Okay, so we'll stay out of the dead ball era for now. Let's start with 1921. So I've already selected baseball's rebirth, and then I can select any years here, or any seasons between 1921 and 1945. Let's leave it at 1921, and let's select a team. Also, what's nice is you get the team's wins-loss record, so that will allow you to kind of create the sort of thing that you might, just any kind of tournament. So we're going to go ahead and put in New York Giants. All set. All right, next one, let's put in something between 1980, 1982. And let's put in the, I don't know, let's put in the 1990 Cincinnati Reds. Okay. And there we go, Cincinnati Reds. This is basically how you set up a tournament. Very, very easy, but I want to go over a couple things right here. All right, I'm just going to quickly pick some teams here. I said we'd stay out of the dead ball era, so let's go to golden years. Let's pick the 1953 Brooklyn Dodgers, for instance. So it's really infinite what you can do with this. It's such a lot of fun. I will warn you that the uniforms will be close, but they're not going to be exactly right in tournament mode. And there's not really any way to fix it. There's also no way to fix photos. So tournament mode is kind of separate from doing a season replay. So it's going to get the ballparks right, and it's going to get the logos right. But the uniform mod, and Mike has been talking about them, it doesn't always quite do what it's supposed to do. All right, let's go to 2005, and we're going to leave this at 2005, and we're going to put in the Chicago White Sox. All right. So all I'm doing right now is I'm just selecting the teams that I want to. Okay, let's go to the baseball boom. Let's go to 1971 and get my beloved Pittsburgh Pirates in the ball game. Let's get another team here from maybe the 30s. Let's pick the 1938 Chicago Cubs. Okay, and so on and so forth. And there's a couple more steps we're going to go through, Larry, so hang in with me, brother. All right. Let's go baseball's rebirth. Let's pick 1945, and let's bring the Detroit Tigers in here. Tigers had an excellent year that year. Okay. Let's hit, what haven't we hit yet? The analytics years. Let's do the analytics years. And, well, let's just do 20. We'll put in the 2025 Toronto Blue Jays. Okay, so now they're in there. But we're not done, because I know the next question is going to be about normalizing and things like that, and we'll get to that too. Now, this is, I should mention when we get to that, this is a little bit more restrictive, and I'll show you what I mean. Okay, power years. Let's go 2001. Let's put the Seattle Mariners in 2001, yeah? Excellent team there. And also, the American League is always on top, by the way. We got best record in baseball, and still the only team to never make it to the World Series. Okay. Now, I probably should have picked 12 teams, but I'm just doing this for illustrative purposes. Let's go back to the defensive era. We'll leave it at 1980, and let's put in the Philadelphia Phillies. Okay. You can choose whether to have a designated hitter on or off, obviously. Game era and strategy. This is what's really, really fun about this. So you can normalize to a season if you want to do that. So let's just say that if you want a lot of offense, right, then maybe you would just select 1930. Okay. Put it in 1930. End of season rosters. I would say disable injuries in a tournament. Active roster limit is 25 players. Pretty good. Okay. JT Dutch, hey, hope I had a good day. It was an all right day today. It went from 65, it's supposed to get down to 28 degrees tonight, which really sucks. So, Jeff, once you have all these set up, whatever teams that you want, click Create Exhibition. And it's just getting everybody's records together here. And Exhibition is set up. Now, we look here, and we can see that you can edit tournament matchups here that you want to. Because we only have 10 teams, we of course have a bye week and stuff like that. So I probably let's actually get out of that and let's reset. And it's going to let me reset. Not going to let me reset. We'll just let it confirm. So we'll confirm, and if we look at the matchups here, so we can see we have round one and then round two. These, you can't do anything with these yet. So we can see they have a bye week. So our first game on either side is going to be Mariners, Blue Jays, and Phillies, Tigers. Okay. And then when we go to play ball, all we do is we just select whichever game it's going to be. So let's say if it was going to be the Phillies versus the Tigers, Carlton versus Newhouser, which would be a fun game to actually play. And you're all set to go. I do have pictures in here. I don't know why it's being wonky, but there you go. That's it. That's how you set up a tournament. Just that simple. And then to be able to save it or whatever, you just go to the return to the main screen and out of the park baseball, hit load game. You'll see here it says historical exhibition, and it's always going to name it. You're always going to be able to find it by the first team that you've picked in there, right? So we just click on that, click rename, and let's just put Jeff Ray Tournament, just so I remember what it is. Okay. So you can do things like when you're, forgot to put the T there. So there. And then I can just click cancel and it's there. So actually, let's load this so I can show you a couple other things about it. Well, let's go to the Sweet Baby J Nate series, since that's the one we started the other night. This is just 2 teams. So when this comes up, Jeff, it's really important that you select yes. If you select no, it's going to make this kind of just a season sort of thing, which is bizarre. So always click yes that you want to be in exhibition mode. And this is all ready to go. You can go to teams and rules, and you can't change the teams once the tournament started. But like you can see here, we've turned the DH off for the Cardinals. We turned it on for the Brewers. But we can increase roster size if we want to, and we need to actually disable injuries. I forgot to do that. So there are a few things, but this is all ready to go. Change any rosters and lineups that you want to have. So there we can see the rosters. Brock, everybody. We're looking at the Cardinals, and then we look at the Brewers. Okay, and then go back to play ball. And if I hit play, it's going to be Ray Sadecki versus Moose Haas. That is all there is to it. Okay, we return to out of the park main screen. One of the things that I love about doing like the World Series type things is, let's say we just select a World Series. Let's pick the 1965 World Series, and you get a nice sort of recap of 1965 or whatever seasons you picked. But here's the other thing that you can do. You can take any World Series, just the same as it's just a tournament. You can say, well, what if we did it based on 1979 stats or whatever you want? Again, it's you can flip the teams if you want, so that maybe the Dodgers are the visiting team, right? You can do this up to 9 games in a World Series, and that goes back to the dead ball era when they played 9-game World Series. I have, of course, DH would be off for these, but you could turn them on if you want. So this gives you a lot of freedom. I hope that helped. JT Dutch says, I have a question about player photos. Can they be stored on a per year basis, like 79 photos, 80 photos, etc.? Not in out of the park baseball, unfortunately. I wish they could. But I mean, because I know Action PC does that. I've not seen that you can actually do that in out of the park baseball. It would be really nice if they would do that, but I don't know of any way to manage player photos that way in out of the park baseball. So, to my knowledge, no, I've never seen that. And again, that's a feature that I love in Action PC, for instance, where you can tell it to go to a specific, specific subfolder. Even Pocket Pennant Run, they've got things divided by decade, as does Pearson Baseball, Strategy Baseball. But Diamond Mine and Out of the Park do not do that. So would be nice. Now, if somebody knows of some arcane way of doing it, please let me know. But yeah, it's yeah. I mean, it is. I don't really worry about it too much, just because I want people to know what the player looked like. But if his livery is not correct, anyhow, I'm not going to create this. I'm not going to play the 65 World Series. So, but you know what? That would be a nice suggestion for them to put in. I wouldn't mind seeing that at all. Jeff says, thanks a million. Your opinion, if I wanted to normalize 1968, that holds scoring down. So yeah, it should. It should. Now, but again, playing in just a World Series, in 7 games or 9 games or whatever, anything can happen. But it should bring the offense down if you're playing in 1968. And in fact, I learned that lesson back in Isle Park 26 when we were going to do the World Series. Had never been played. Of course, the first one in 1904. And I forgot and left it set to default modern era. We were getting home runs like mad in that. And one day I was looking at it right before this. I was still beta testing this. I'm like, I'm going to look at something out of Park 26. I wanted to compare, and I happened to look at that. I'm like, oh my god, I left it as default modern era. No wonder, because then we did the 1994. Never finished that yet, but the play-in series for that, and that was acting sort of like normally. But yeah, so it should bring it down. But yeah, they can be high scoring. So I would suggest just again playing with those settings, trying different years. 1968 was really low. If you're playing a modern series and you really want to see offense go down, maybe normalize to a dead ball era year, and you're definitely not going to see as many home runs. But with that being said, there is a misconception that dead ball games were always low scoring games, and that's not true either. There were many dead ball games that were crazy high scores. So, but I would try 1968. And since we're in 1968, let's do an exhibition game. Let's do an exhibition game. I'm going to let you guys pick the teams. And if you don't, I was thinking Red Sox, Cubs. But whoever you guys pick, that's who we'll pick. And we're just going to play a game here in 1968 just for fun. I didn't actually start the season. I like to play exhibitions before we go in here. You're welcome, Jeff. You are welcome, man. That's what it's just all about. We all help each other, and that's what family does, man. That is what family does. Let's go to the player list here. There we go. Looking at the Detroit Tigers. Cardinals, Mets. Okay, welcome in, Robert. Sorry I couldn't make your broadcast tonight. Unfortunately, an emergency errand I had to run. So, that would be fun to create that matchup. I remember that 2003 because there for a while. So I'll keep that one in mind, JT. But we were thinking right in 2003, could this be the year? Because had the Cubs and Red Sox made it to the World Series, one of them would have to win, right? So one of the droughts would have to be broken, whether it was the curse of the Bambino, it would be broken in Boston, or the GOAT. Of course, the many curses, but one of them being the that somebody brought a goat into the Cubs' old ballpark back in 1908, the West Side grounds. So there we go. The Bartmans versus the Crazy Litters. Well, you know what? If you guys would rather do that in 1968, I mean, we can do both. Let's see where we go here. It's already 10:42. Seaver Gibson. All right, let's do 68 tonight, and JT, let's do 2003 tomorrow night. Just come on and remind me, and we'll do it. Okay. All right, so let's get this set up. Tom Seaver. Okay, so Cardinals, Mets, and I guess Mets are going to be the home team. We can do that. Let's play an exhibition game. All right, so okay, let me pop out the comments here quickly, and let's get to playing some baseball. All right, so the visitors are the Cardinals, and at home is the New York Mets. Let's play. There we go. Looks pretty. Gibson and Seaver, just as if you ordered it that way. All right. So let you guys look at the lineups here hey, there we go. Mike, Sports Time Machine, or they could both lose best of both worlds. In the World Series, that'd be something if they both lost. And how would that be the best of both worlds? Do you hate the Cubs too? Oh my God. All right. So we got Red Shane Deans and Gil Hodges. All right. Let me make sure we got any DH nonsense turned off. And we're going to start with the park pick look. And we are going to disable the Baseball News Network because there wouldn't be anything anyhow before the season starts. All right, let's have some fun. It is 1968, but this is before the season starts. So there hasn't been any, there's been no, this is like even before spring training. We're just playing a game. I don't know if we're going to do anything with 1968. I just created this because I wanted to see why Larry was having trouble with the Tigers uniforms, and everything worked, which is why I went on to the broadcast. It's like, this is how you got to work with the uniforms. So, yeah, these are going to be rosters before opening day, whatever they were, whatever. I don't really know how Out of the Park handles that, but we're going to have fun. Everybody looks like they should be where they are, and there we go. Again, I love this new feature now. It makes it so easy. You get nice clean stat lines, but you also get to see players' ratings, their potential, all that stuff. So good stuff. Yep. Don't know why. Don't know why. Couldn't tell you. Couldn't tell you. But there we go. But you can see. Look at Seaver though. You know, right now not his potential. So you can see his potential. This is where it is right now, JT, at the beginning of the season. So you got to remember that the way Out of the Park works is we're going into this is if we're going into 1968 blind. So if you remember, when we go back to the league history or Major League Baseball history, in this case, it's only going to go up to 1967. So based upon scouting right now, Tom Seaver's potential for this season is 4.5 stars. So it makes sense. Right now, we're at the beginning of the season, and Gibby's pretty much going to stay the same. Just based on Seaver's record here. And let's look at Tom Seaver and his real life stats. This is Tom Seaver. This is his second year in baseball. So 16 and 13 in his rookie year in 1967. And we're in 68. He's going to do 16 and 12 and a better year, lower ERA. So I can see where the game is, right? So there's going to be more innings pitched, much higher strikeouts. So he will be 4.5 stars by the end. Okay. Let's return to the game and let's play. Let's have fun. Try to make this a little bit of a faster broadcast tonight, but JT, that was a great suggestion you have. Maybe we'll see that in Out of the Park 28, that there would be a way that you could look for player picture subdirectories. Again, though, if anybody knows if there is a way to do that, let me know, okay? All right, let's fucking go. Mets says Robert Argel Network. All right, leading off for the visiting St. Louis Cardinals in this exhibition game in 1968. Oh, it's cold too, man. It's 48 degrees, so it must be chilly down there. Well, I guess we're not actually playing in Florida, so it's chilly in Queens, baby. All right, Kurt Flood at center field, leading off. Mike Shannon, third baseman, batting second. The Baby Bull batting third at first base. Interestingly enough, in the cleanup spot, Lou Brock. We saw Lou Brock hit a home run the other night in our Nathaniel tournament. Batting fifth at second base, Julian Javier. Batting sixth and catching, Tim McCarver. Batting seventh, shortstop, down Maxville. Batting eighth in right field, Roger Maris. And pitching and batting ninth, Bob Gibson. For the hometown New York Metropolitans, leading off in right field, Ron Swoboda. Batting second, left fielder, Cleon Jones. Batting third baseman, Ed Charles. Batting in the cleanup spot at first base, Art Shamsky. Batting fifth, center fielder, Tommy Agee. Used to seeing Tommy Agee a little bit up there in the lineup, but we're just going to just let it go as is. It's an exhibition. It doesn't count. There's no as-played lineup in an exhibition game. Batting sixth and catching, Jerry Grody. Batting seventh at short, Bud Harrelson. Batting eighth at second base, Ken Boswell. And Tom Terrific is pitching and batting ninth, and let's go to Queens. And here we are, the site of the first stadium rock concert as well. And I do have to say, I love the new look here. I love that this is up here, nice and small, and everything like that. Starting defense for the New York Mets, as we get some weirdness going on here. I want to move that widget in real time, and I can't. All right. Jerry Grody, excellent catcher. Indeed, indeed, indeed. We'll be talking about a lot of these guys. All right, let's go. We're just going to let the computer manage both, and let's have some fun as we zip around Shea Stadium. Out there at second base is where the Beatles played, by the way. All right, Kurt in there, and full count to Kurt Flood. This one bounced to third, and up with that is Charles, and fires onto Shamsky for the out. So just looking at things here, pretty fine outfield here for these New York Mets. Tommy Agee with the Gold Glove out there is going to cover a lot of range. Swoboda, excellent arm out there. Infield, if there's a weak link, it's going to be Shamsky at first, but otherwise, both very, very good teams here. All right, here's Mike Shannon now. And the 1-2 pitch from Seaver. Shannon swings, and this one, a hard ground ball to third, but not a problem over there. Ed Charles. So two straight 5-3 putouts. Here's the baby bull. And Seaver winds, and the count full on Cepeda. Cepeda lines this one out to right field, ranging over to his right, and tracking it down is Ron Swoboda. 3 up, 3 down for the St. Louis Cardinals. We go to the bottom of the first. Exhibition in 1968. Cardinals nothing, the Mets coming to bat. Bud Harrelson, underrated shortstop. So outfield not as strong for these St. Louis Cardinals. Kurt Flood out there, of course, Gold Glover. But we don't have that sort of powerful arm out there. Infield, obviously a little better on the left-hand side. They've got the better first baseman. Pitchers, though, Gibson and Seaver. It doesn't get better than that. All right, Swoboda leading things off here. For some of these guys, we'll look at what they did in 1967. So Swoboda had 13 home runs, 53 runs batted in, and hit .281. Gibby into the wind, and the 0-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. That went on a curveball, hitting the outside. Here's Cleon Jones. I'm going to get me a golden retriever. I'm going to name him Cleon. In 1967, 5 homers, 30 runs batted in, a .246 average for Cleon Jones. Gibson winds and deals. Jones first pitch swinging, and 2 hopper to second, and Julian Javier onto the baby bull for the 4-3 putout. 2 up, 2 down for the Mets brings up Ed Charles. Pretty good power in Ed Charles. And 1-1 pitch. This one hit deep to center field and gone. Ed Charles heard me talking about the power. And there we go. The New York Mets tally one here in the bottom of the first inning. Early 1-0 lead. 435 feet for Mr. Charles. And as always, we do like to show home runs. So let's do it again. 24 degrees in the old launch angle, and there we go. You can kiss it goodbye. Kaboom, says Robert. All right, touch them all, Mr. Charles. I didn't turn on showing names in the back of the jerseys, but hey, that's all right. All right, Art Shamsky now. Shamsky in the box, 21 home runs, but that was back in 66. Had a little power off, a little, kind of dropped the power in 67 with only 3 home runs, but just 76 games. So Shamsky getting another look here in what would be a spring training game, I suppose. So his first year with the New York Mets, played with the Cincinnati Reds the previous 3 seasons. All right, Gibson, full count on Shamsky. Swung on by Shamsky, and this one lined out to center field, and this is going to get all the way to the wall. Is Shamsky going to go for 3? He will not. So Kurt Flood unable to track that ball down. And look at the Mets. So he took that changeup, and he took it for a ride. So 2 down, runners in scoring position for the Metropolitans. And here's one of my favorite Mets of all time, Tommy Agee. Count even 2-2. Oh, this one painting the inside of the corner, and that would take care of Tommy Agee. So inning over, but 1 run on 2 hits, no errors, and a runner left in scoring position. We head to the top of the second here. And the Mets lead the Cardinals 1-0. Section 518 cheers. All right, here we go. Well, I mean, AG, that's, yeah, pretty good range here. But again, this is not, when you're playing an exhibition game before the season starts, the scouting is not going to be as accurate as when you get into the season. That's another one of the nice little things I think that this game does very, very well. All right, Seaver to face Lou Brock, Julian Javier, and Tim McCarver. 0-1 pitch on the way to Brock. And Lou Brock swings this one a little tapper up the first base line. And up with that is Shamsky, and he's going to do the little underhanded shovel to Tom Seaver, covering for the 3-1 putout. One away. And I'm keeping the pitch thing up here now. I like that. It's so cool. I love that. It's not new to the game, but it was a widget I never really ever had turned on, and I like it. All right, here's Julian Javier now. 0-1 pitch on the way from Seaver. Javier swings, and this one lined into right, down into the corner. Javier is going to have extra bases as the ball caroms around a little bit. And Julian Javier with the 1-out double. All right, caught up with a sinker there from Tom Seaver. Here's Tim McCarver of blessed memory in the box. Count full. McCarver swings. High fly ball into left field. Not any trouble, I should say, for Cleon Jones to make the grab. So 2 down, nowhere for Javier to go. Brings up Dal Maxville. So again, we're going to look at players randomly. Dal Maxville in 1967 hit just .227, managed a home run in 441 runs batted in. Seaver deals, and Maxville just a little roller out there to second base. Boswell up with it, and that is side retired. So the Cardinals waste a double. We go to the bottom of second. Mets lead this one 1-0. Jerry Grody, Bud Harrelson, Ken Boswell due up for Roberts Mets. Gibby deals, count full. Grody swings and misses. Strike 3, curveball by Gibson. So they are working Gibson deep into the count, but that's the third K hung up by the great Bob Gibson. All right, here's Bud Harrelson. So Robert talking about Harrelson, underrated shortstop. Let's have a look at Bud Harrelson. Let's look at these real-life stats, and let's look at his fielding stats, as a matter of fact. Why not? Why not? Why not? So looks like here, so season high, 305 putouts for the 1970 New York Mets, 243 in 1969. Fielding average, I don't really look I don't think that that's so important as much as other kind of fielding indicators. So I know I always thought he was a fine shortstop, not Ozzie Smith level shortstop, but very few shortstops were. Let's look at him as a hitter. Just going to look at basic stats. I don't feel like jumping into the sabermetric stuff. So Harrelson, a lifetime .236 hitter, so very much the kind of don't always expect the big stick from the shortstop. People like Hannes Wagner and Archie Vaughn, to be exceptions to that rule. Decent speed. I mean, 127 steals. In 1971, he did manage 28 steals and was only caught 7 times. So good speed, didn't strike out a lot. You don't want your shortstop striking out a lot. Anything else interesting with that? I think a good solid player, definitely. All right, and here is Bud Harrelson. Pretty good contact hitter, full count. But not this time. He's not going to catch up to the fastball by Mr. Robert Gibson. All right, here's Ken Boswell. Boswell in the box. The count, no balls, 2 strikes. Boswell swings, and this one just a high fly ball into left. And Lou Brock makes the grab. So the Mets go quietly. We go to the top of the third. Mets 1, Cardinals nothing. All right, Roger Maris, Bob Gibson, Kurt Flood due up for the Redbirds. So Roger Maris here, as we all know about Roger Maris, but he deserves a look at his entire career. for what he did. This is Roger Maris's final year in baseball. This is it. So in his last year in baseball, he still hit 5 home runs, 45 runs batted in. Of course, 1961, the season Roger best known for 61 home runs, 142 runs batted in. And I don't give a shit that he had more at bats than Babe Ruth. I always thought it was a shame that there was that asterisk for so many years beside Roger Maris's name. He hit 61 home runs in the majors. Give me a break, people. that is still no mean feat. I realize Aaron Judge has that, has that record now and what have you. But come on, that asterisk was wrong. Anybody disagrees? Tough. All right, here's the pitch to Maris. The 1-2. And Maris swings and rips this one into right field. Maris, though, doesn't have the speed to go to second. All right, so that is the second hit for the St. Louis Cardinals. And here's Bob Gibson to see if he's going to be bunting here. Indeed, he is. And it's a good bunt. Is it? No, they get the lead runner. How about that? Great play by Tom Seaver. So Gibson does not get the job done. Maris is out. Roger Maris was the man that year, and there should never have been an asterisk. Amen, brother. Amen. And boy, the shit he went through. You know what? And if Mickey Mantle had broken Babe Ruth's record that year, the season home run record, they wouldn't have put an asterisk beside Mickey Mantle. I just think they didn't like Maris. In fact, my understanding is a lot of Yankees fans, even Yankees fans, right, they're rooting against Maris. I'm thinking, come on, man. You know, you guys had Babe Ruth, who was the all-time single-season home run leader, and then you got Maris chasing that in 61 and eclipsing it, and people were rooting against him. They wanted the Mick to do it. Well, Mickey had a good year that year too, didn't he? I think people consider 61 homers cheap because the extra number of games and expansion team pitching. Expansion was its infancy then, and people bemoaned the watering down of pitching. They can bemoan, and you know, and I do get that argument that they would make, but my only counter would be is you've made it to the major leagues and you hit 61 home runs, and some of those home runs were hit off some of the league's best. So I don't know. Did that still? But I still don't think, JT, and I don't think you would agree with this, that that there should have been an asterisk, you know, for Roger Maris all those years, right? I mean, nobody asterisked Barry Bonds or Sammy Sosa or Mark McGwire, but Roger Maris had to bear that all those years. So, yeah, I don't understand why they called Maris a hick when Mantle was from Oklahoma. Baseball's a funny sport, man. It really, really is. All right, here's Curt Flood. Curt Flood, 0-for-1 in the ball game. Gibson failed in the sacrifice, but has some speed at first. And there we go. This one is a sinking liner into center field, but Tommy Agee reels it in. And they turn a double play. Oh, my God. They turn a double play. Gibson doubled off of first. Let's look at it again as we'll just do it as a regular replay. So Gibson, do you see? Stumbled a little bit. So that's a new little animation. Did you watch that? Did you guys see that? So he wasn't caught napping. Way to go, out of the park baseball. I've seen a lot of new animations. Watch Gibson at first. Boom. So Gibson cut it off first. Nice. So Maris, yeah, definitely not from a hick state, right? Minnesota that moved to North Dakota. God, who knows? All right, here is Tom Terrific. Gibson versus Seaver. Count full. Seaver swings. 2-hopper to second. Too deep to second there. And Julian Javier will make the pick. So 1 away, GT Just, I think almost everyone's personally asked us everything Barry Bonds has done. A lot of people don't want to count 73 as a legitimate record. Or 763. Yeah. Bonds, yeah. Bonds is his own worst enemy, though, man. He really is. See, sometimes he really is. It's like, dude, come on. But, yep. But that being said, all of that being said, Barry Bonds does deserve to be in the Hall of Fame. So it's not about Hall of being a nice guy, because there's a lot of jerks in the Hall of Fame, but Bonds deserves to be in there. He does. Put an asterisk, though. All right, Gibson now to face Ron Swoboda. We're back at the top of the order for the Mets. Swoboda, 0-1. Count 2-2. Cut on and missed. So it looks like he might have chased one a little bit too far inside. Gibson coming with a sinker that time. So John says he doesn't consider 73 legit. And put Bonds in the Hall. Absolutely. Those guys did bring baseball back. It pains me to say it. I had to evolve that. First, years ago, I was like, no. But you got to put him in. You got to put him in. Cleon Jones, 0-1. 0-2 pitch. And this one, laced up the middle, base hit. Cleon Jones makes the wide turn at first. And he will hold. Third hit for the New York Mets. And Jones definitely has some speed out there at first base. So be watching him. In 1967 with the Mets, he had 5 home runs, 30 RBI, 246 average. And here's Ed Clark. Ed Clark's been busy in this game. Has he not? A home run in this game, making some plays at third. Ed Charles earning his way onto the club. Here's the 0-1 pitch. And this one is going to get away from McCarver. So good play by McCarver to keep Jones at first. 1998 season, one of the best ever. Hey, Crusader think McGuire and Sosa can thank Bonds for taking some of the focus off of them. I agree with that. Imagine Babe Ruth had regular away games in Colorado. Whew. I just watched the thing the other day. And Willie Stargell said this years and years and years ago when baseball was talking about allowing major league hitters to use metal bats. He said there'll be dead bodies everywhere. It's on YouTube. You guys watch it. And these major league hitters, so O'Neill Cruz is in there, Vladdy Jr.'s in there. And these guys are, I mean, granted, the pitches were grooved in, but they were just, what would it be like to hit with a metal bat? Oh my God. I hope Major League Baseball never goes to metal bats, because you're going to have to build new ballparks. You're going to have to set fences back 40 feet. It was incredible, the shots these guys were making. Even the ground balls, like when they weren't connecting for home runs, if they got on top of it, it was like the velocity of the ball coming off a metal bat at that level. That's scary. I think Willie was right. JT says, I don't believe the homer chase saved baseball, but if you're going to put Bud Selig in the Hall when he presided over that era, why not put Bonds in? Also makes no sense to me. Yep, agree. Imagine if modern players traveled by train and didn't go west of the Mississippi. They couldn't handle it. Can you imagine Scott Boras letting his players do that? This is why I love this family. You guys bring up the great arguments. Great positions. Love it. All right, Cleon Jones on at first, 2 down. In June 1998, Sosa set a record for most home runs in a month, 20. He says he was at the game against Arizona where he hit the 20th. Come to find out, he was on the juice. So how did you guys feel about that? I mean, when things first started breaking, take yourself back to the time when the whole juice thing started breaking. What was your initial reaction to all that, guys? If anybody feels like typing in a few words, just curious. 1-2 pitch. Ed Charles swings right through an off-speed pitch. And that is it. 6th strikeout for Bob Gibson. The Mets strand a runner. We go to the top of the 4th. It's still 1-0. Mike Shannon, Orlando Cepeda, Lou Brock due up. Shannon, 0-1. 2-2 pitch. Swing and a miss. Strike 3. So nice slider there by Tom Seaver, picking up his first strikeout of the game. Here's the baby bull, 0-1. Count full on Cepeda. Cepeda swings and drills this one to right field, going over toward the line, and making a great grab is Ron Swoboda. John says his initial reaction was anger. Mine was profound disappointment, that led to anger. JT says he felt like it was common knowledge that players in general had chemical help. McGuire made no effort to hide the bottle of Andro in his locker. It was just sitting there in plain view. Crusader says, I think what Sosa, McGuire, and Bonds did is made Babe Ruth and Roger Maris look even better, especially Ruth. Yeah, I kind of like the, bearing in mind I'm a vegetarian, I like Babe Ruth's idea of human growth hormone. It worked for him. Lots of hot dogs and beer. Because that Babe Ruth Red Sox didn't look like Babe Ruth at the end of his career. But, boy, what a beautiful swing, huh? But, yeah. But I would just say this, though. I'm not happy that these guys were juicing the ball, but you still had to have the talent. And, being a Pittsburgh Pirates fan and seeing Barry, before he turned into a professional wrestler with San Francisco, we knew in Pittsburgh he was going to be great. And so, it's the same with Roger Clemens. Again, HGH isn't going to help you place your pitches any better. It's just not. So it sucks that it happened, and I'm hoping I hope it's no more. I hope nobody's doing this shit anymore. Juicers took jobs away from players who did things the right way, and John says that was his biggest issue. And they did. I'm not denying that at all, John. Not at all. Barry Bonds maybe had a heel turn in San Francisco. Here's Lou Brock, and Lou Brock's going to send this one out to left field. Ranging over to his left is Cleon Jones calling off Tommy Agee, and he will make the catch. The Cardinals go good morning, good afternoon, good night. We go to the bottom of the fourth inning. 1-0 Mets. So this game's shaping up to be kind of what I expected to be, a good old-fashioned pitcher's duel. Art Shamsky 1-for-1. Shamsky, Agee, and Grody do up 4. Roberts, Queens 9. Count full on Art Shamsky. And Shamsky very patient at the plate. This fastball missing inside by Gibson. Here's Tommy Agee now, 0-for-1. Runner on. The runner goes. Was off in motion and sacrifice successful. All right, so Shamsky aboard. That looked like an unintentional sacrifice, but the Mets will take it. Runner in scoring position now for Grody, who's 0-for-1. 0-2 pitch. Grody swings, and this one gapped all the way to the wall in left field. And how about Jerry Grody picking up the RBI double here in the bottom of the fourth? The Mets adding some insurance against Gibby. It's 2-0. All right, here's Bud Harrelson. Bud Harrelson doesn't want to be crowding the plate here at this point. Harrelson 0-for-1. First pitch swinging, and this one, fly ball out to center field. Making the grab is Curt Flood. So faking third, and Curt Flood knew Jerry Grody wasn't going to go anywhere. He holds. Wonder what Aaron really thought about Bonds breaking his record. That's a good question. I don't know that I've ever seen any interviews about that or read any interviews. JT says, personally wasn't surprised that Barry Bonds built muscle mass easily. Look at his dad. Bobby was tremendously strong. He was. It's just that if you look back and you see pictures of Barry Bonds when he was with the Pirates, he had that very lean kind of Ty Cobb look to him. Or, I mean, remember, these guys are big. I mean, you get guys like Ken Griffey Jr. He looked slim, but these baseball players are big dudes, man. Like Paul Skeens, I just saw him talking to somebody the other day. This is a big kid, man. Yeah, I mean, but it just, this Bonds got so big so fast. It was kind of like, wow, this doesn't look like the same Barry Bonds that Jim Leyland used to yell at. So Jeff Ray says that he was dismayed, disgusted. He said he also evolved. Same here. Yep. So many players were on PEDs that are still on it that I found other things to hate about baseball. Bobby Bonds' head didn't grow, says John. That was the big thing with Barry. That Barry, hear that and kick my ass, though. Are we really perpetuating the myth of the growing head when Bonds wore the same size cap his whole career? I don't know, man. He looked bigger. He looked bigger. So either that or all of us just were. Maybe David Copperfield created some mass illusion, JT. I don't know, brother. I don't know, man. He just even looked bigger to me. I don't know. I don't know. We should bring up a picture of Barry Bonds in 1988 and Barry Bonds 2003, and let's have a look. I don't know. Gibson deals now to Ken Boswell. Boswell swings. This one a little tapper down the line at first. Gibson off the mound and feeds it on to the baby bull, and that is it. But the New York Mets add to their tally. It's 2-0 as we head to the top of the 5th inning. All right. You know, I guess there are things, getting back, that the things I hate about baseball are all the new stupid rules in baseball. That's what I love the game, but the ghost runner crap and all that, those are the things I hate about baseball. But baseball in and of itself, I love, and I always, to me, it's the greatest game ever. I guess those who hurl and those who curl would disagree, but Julio Javier, anyhow, is 1 for 1 here in the top of the 5th. Here we go. Seaver deals, doubled his last time up, and tapper to short, playing it on the bounce. There is Harrelson. Textbook 6-3 put out. Here's Tim McCarver, 0 for 1. Count full on McCarver. Seaver deals, and McCarver cuts and misses. So this one, a curveball on the outside corner that McCarver went out to try to get, and Seaver just got nasty on him with the hammer. All right, Dow Maxville, 0 for 1. Here's the 1-0 delivery to Maxville. Maxville swings, grounder to Harrelson. Harrelson says, this is getting too easy. So that takes care of the St. Louis Cardinals. And runs, no hits, no errors. And bottom of the 5th we go, 2-0 Mets. Vince Scully talked, Crusader says, of being in an awkward position of calling that record-breaking home run from Bonds, not knowing in advance how he would call it. That's interesting. Tribe Fan says, those that hurl and curl will be out visiting bars tomorrow. Boom, boom. Tim, can always count on you for your puns. You're almost, you're not quite, you're almost at baseball demos level, but that's but that being said, Tim comes off with some zingers that David has never done. So all right, Gibson to face Seaver here. Seaver last time 0 for 1. Count 2-2. And here's the pitch. Seaver swings and misses. And that's the 7th strikeout for Bob Gibson. Back at the top of the order, Von Swoboda is 0 for 2. I think people made way, says JT Dutch, too much of a big deal about performance-enhancing drogas. I suppose it's because a lot who don't know about how the stuff really works. I know you've talked about this before, JT, that it helps healing of wounds, recovery time, things like that. Yeah, so do I, John. The YouTube video, Leyland, Bonds didn't mess with. I think he learned that day, and who was it? Which movie was it? It was about was that Major League or something? And of course Tommy Lasorda and that great video. I'm the fucking manager, whatever. But yeah, Leyland really dressed down Bonds big time. Leyland, old school baseball guy from Perrysburg, Ohio. You need a strong Bonds needed a strong manager like that, and I think he really helped. I think that was a good thing, dressing Bonds down. It's like, look, I don't care how much of a star you are. I'm the manager here, pal. So, and of course, Bonds not listening to Van Slyke in that fateful 1992 NLCS. Had Barry listened, maybe Cabrera didn't get that little dunker base hit that allowed Sid Bream to do us dirt. But it's in the past, baby. What are you going to do? What are you going to do? Count full on Ron Swoboda. He's 0 for 2 in the game. And look at that. Inside, changeup misses by Bob Gibson. Runner aboard, Swoboda decent speed. Here's Cleon Jones, 1 for 2. 0-2 to Jones. Big cut and a miss. Sinker that time from Bob Gibson, and that is strikeout number 8. And that was just steady diet of strikes. So a called slider, swing and a miss, and a curveball, as well as the sinker. Here's Ed Charles. 1 for 2 with a homer in this game. And there goes the runner. Swoboda off to the races, and he's dead to rights. Nice throw by Tim McCarver. New York gets a walk and nothing more. This game now official as we head to the top of the 6th inning, and it's 2-0 Mets. Roger Maris, Bob Gibson, Kurt Flood due up for the Redbirds. Seaver with 2 strikeouts, ready to deal. Maris cuts in the first pitch. This one, high pop fly out there to right field. I mean, very high. Swoboda has it. 1 away. Seaver now to face Bob Gibson. 0-1 pitch. Gibby swings. This one tapper to second. Easy play up there for Ken Boswell. On to Art Shamsky. 2 up, 2 down for the Cardinals. Back at the top of the order, Kurt Flood, who is 0 for 2. Count full on Flood. Lined out to center his last time up. Swung on, and there we go. A little slow roller out there to second, and it's Boswell Shamsky. 1, 2, 3. Go the running Redbirds, or they will be the running Redbirds later on. Bottom of the 6th, still 2-0 Mets. You just John says he's glad that Bonds never played for his team. All right, Ed Charles back in the box. Ed Charles was up on the caught stealing. All right, count 2 balls, 1 strike. Charles swings and drills this one high, but not deep. As Roger Maris will angle under that thing as it sort of tail away from him a little bit. He makes the grab. 1 away for Art Shamsky. He's 1 for 1. 2-1 on Shamsky on the way, and he's going to dump this one into left, base hit. Shamsky will hold it first. So New York Mets with 5 hits in this game thus far. And Tom Terrific working on a 2-hit shutout. Gibson now to deal to Tommy Agee. Agee swings on a 2-2 pitch. And Shannon fires a strike over to Orlando Cepeda on the play. Art Shamsky moves to second, 2 down for Jerry Grote, an RBI. 1 for 2 on him. Count even, 2-2 on Grote. Run scoring double last time, and looks at a call to strike 3. Changeup on the outside corner. The Mets get a hit, leave a man in scoring position. We head to the top of the 7th inning. Mets 2, Cardinals nothing. Mike Shannon, Orlando Cepeda, Lou Brock due up for St. Louis. All right, Seaver has the sign from Jerry Grote, and the wind and the pitch. First pitch swinging. Shannon drills this one to right field. This gets down, base hit. And Shannon will hold at first. No speed at first, and here's the baby bull, 0 for 2. The tying run comes to the plate for the St. Louis Cardinals. 0-2 pitch, and this will get down into center field. No, it won't. So sinking liner, Agee coming in quickly, and that ball makes the grab. Thought for sure he was going to play that one on a hop, but you've got to remember that superb range out there in center field. So 1 away, Shannon gets back to first. Here's Lou Brock. 0 for 2, and the 0-1 pitch. Swung on by Lou Brock. This one does get down for a base hit into left field. Shannon hesitated for a minute, thinking that it would have been caught, but there we go. And we have a pinch hitter now. Bobby Tolan will come in to pinch hit. Let's look at Bobby Tolan's stats for 1968. So 92 games for him, a 230 average, 5 home runs, 17 runs batted in for Bobby Tolan. All right, here we go. I always think of Bobby Tolan again more as a Cincinnati Red than I do a St. Louis Cardinal. Seaver deals. Count full. Tolan swings. And grounded deep to short. And they will get Bobby Tolan on the and Dick Simpson coming in to pinch run. Game's getting people in here quicker than I can see it happening. So Brock at second, Simpson on third. So speed on the base paths, 2 down for Tim McCarver, who is nothing for 2. Tom Seaver works out of the stretch and the pitch. And this one, Grody, again, this is the second time Grody stops an errant pitch. So great job there by Jerry Grody. Let me see. Yeah, Bobby Cox, no, he didn't, says John. Didn't put up with crap. He once pulled Andrew Jones out of the field during the middle of an inning for not hustling. Same with Billy Martin pulling Reggie Jackson in 77, says Crusader, when Reggie lazily played a ball that went his way. JT Dutch says that Martin Jackson deal was pretty crazy. The Red Sox were batting, and meanwhile a manager is trying to fight a player in the other dugout in front of everybody. Those were the great days, man. That just doesn't happen in baseball anymore. There's no more of that insanity. I still love the game, but it's like everybody's showing up with briefcases now. There's no craziness. Bah. On national TV, says Crusader. Game of the week, says JT Dutch. That's the game was fun. All right, can McCarver get the Cardinals on the board here and break up? It's now a 4-hit shutout. Break up the shutout. Nope. And struck him out swinging. Slider. 7th inning stretch time here at Shea Stadium. The Mets lead the Cardinals 2-0 in this exhibition game in 1968. 1968, the long, hot summer. So 1967, the idealistic Summer of Love, heralded in by Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. 1968, riots, the tragedy in Chicago, the Democratic National Convention. 1968, the assassinations of Martin Luther King, Robert F. Kennedy. Oh my goodness. What a difference a year makes. 1968. The Tet Offensive in Vietnam. Baseball is still fun. It's still fun, Robert. But it's the characters that sort of thing isn't there. The Billy Martins are gone. The Tommy Lasordas are gone. Even the Jim Leyland sneaking a fag in cigarette in the dugout. These guys are gone, man. And the I don't know, Bill Vex and the O'Findleys, man. You're never gonna, Disco Demolition Night, things like that. Get off my lawn. I don't know. But it is still baseball. It is. Just feel a lot of people wanted to fix baseball in the modern age where it wasn't broken at all. And yes, absolutely. Yeah. It's still fun, Robert. I guess I should have, probably been a little bit more clear. The characters, I don't know. They added that crazy factor to the game. Come on, think about it. Spaceman Bill Lee and, the Bird, right? Come on. Grabowski, right? Personalities, the Mad Hungarian, man. And making, how many implements did Gaylord Perry bring to the mound on him that day, and what companies? Was it Vaseline? Was it Vagisil? I don't know. What was he putting on the ball? Loved it. Earl Weaver, another classic. Raleigh Fingers mustache. So that's the fun I mean. But certainly, Robert, I agree with that. It's the pitcher versus batter. It's all the things that made baseball great, but I miss the characters of the game. So, all right, who do we got here? Bud Harrelson. Let's look for any. So third base now, we're going to have Phil Gagliano and Dick Schofield playing second base. And everything else looks pretty much kosher and copacetic as Bud Harrelson, Ken Boswell, and Tom Seaver will bat here in the bottom of the 7th inning. Bob Gibson, 9 strikeouts, 2 walks through 6 innings of work. Count 3-1 on Harrelson. So working Gibson into the count, and he's able to fight this one off into center field. That sinker for a base hit. So the Mets now with 6 hits in this game. And Ken Boswell, nothing for 2. He's due. Count full. And Gibson misses outside with a slider. So 2 on, nobody out for the New York Mets. We'll have new characters. Well, we have new characters. We'll see. Ohtani, Judge, Skeens, Skubal, Machado, Guerrero. I would say great players. But I don't know. I don't think I'm making myself terribly clear here, I think. JT Dutch says, I've said this before, but field managers say seem like entry-level employees, like coffee boys. Managers in the past had true personalities everybody knew about. Yes. Yep. All great players, man. All great players you're mentioning there. I don't like. So Paul Skeens to me isn't a character. Paul Skeens is a supremely talented pitcher. Shohei Ohtani is a once in a maybe multi-generation player. Aaron Judge, these are all great players. I just right, exactly. What's his personality? I mean, Mark Fidrich had a damn personality. Bill Lee had a personality. Not that makes it doesn't make you a great player. I mean, I used to love Andy Van Slyke messing around with whoever was on the field, what marching band was on the field. And Van Slyke he was a nutcase, man. And you even had that still in the 90s. Yes, Ohtani is again, once in a multi-generational player. That postseason last year, yes, quirks. That's what I mean, Robert. It is not about their talent. No one is going to judge the talent of any of the players that you've listed, my friend. Oh my God, I would take any one of those guys even on a team 24/7, brother. But it was just the craziness of the players, of the managers, and even, yes, of the general managers and the owners. Could you imagine any owner these days doing what Vec and Finley, guys like that did, to bring people in? I don't see it. It's just baseball's become very, I don't know. And JT, I don't feel that managers have that same power. And they've got a tough task too. They're managing multi-millionaires out there, and I don't know. Is baseball is still fun on the field. It's the off the field though that these guys are still. Mickey Mantle. I mean, come on, the exploits of those Yankees, those were crazy dudes, man. I love it. JT Dutch says Madison Bumgarner's personality, Max Scherzer. There's a few guys, way less than guys in past decades. Agree. Again, nothing to do with talent. Just everything to do with what's this guy going to do today. 1-0 pitch. And this one, a bunt out in front of the mound, and the only play is going to be to first. So Tom Seaver gets it done. And 2 in scoring position for the Mets, and Bob Gibson in a little bit of trouble here. Back at the top of the order, Ron Swoboda, who's nothing for 2. Gibson out of the stretch, and the pitch. Swoboda swings, liner to second. Schofield has it. 2 down. Gibson a pitch away from getting out of a mess here and keeping this game close. Cleon Jones, 1 for 3. And the 0-1 pitch. Jones swings, and Texas Leaguer, 2 RBI for Cleon Jones. And now the corpulent lady warming up the pipes. 4-0 New York Mets now. And here's Ed Charles. Crusader says nowadays perhaps the only time you get a magnified focus on the personality of a manager is John Boy's videos. Yeah, I like those videos. I do like them. I guess the question would be, does the game permit it now? and I don't mean the game as in the game of baseball, but rather the meta game or the way it's being run. Does it allow the characters that we remember or that we've read about? JT Dutch says, I feel if Ozzie Smith were playing today, he wouldn't be allowed to do, yes, wouldn't be allowed to do his cartwheel backflip move while running on the field. That was cool. It livened up the experience of watching the game and demonstrated the supreme athleticism of perhaps the greatest defensive shortstop in history, baseball history. Probably wouldn't have. You know what? I would go so far and to agree with you in this way. His agent probably wouldn't have allowed him to do it. Ozzy, you're gonna make 20 million next season. Don't fall on your ankle or don't twist your ankle up or something. I don't know. Even Joe DiMaggio occasionally showed a little bit of, you know, not much, but it was there. Of course, the guy that towers above them all, Babe Ruth. But I do love hearing the stories of. Could you imagine going back and seeing the antics of Satchel Paige, calling in his outfield, calling in the team? Oh my God, the stories that Buck O'Neill told about him. We were robbed. We was robbed. All right, Robert, thank you for stopping in, man. Always a pleasure, brother. Any guys even built like Ozzy anymore? Yeah. Ozzy was a joy to watch. I'm so thrilled to have had the opportunity to have seen him play. And just, wow. Trick photography out there. All right, so the Mets plate two more here in the bottom of the seventh. Two down, Cleon Jones on at first. Bob Gibson with a 1-2 pitch. Swung on, and the Cardinals got to think about, well, line drive to center field. Kurt Flood making the grab. 2 runs, 2 hits, and a walk, and a runner left on. Top of the 8th, Cardinals need to get to work. Maxville Maris, and we'll see if Gibson will be allowed to, or if the manager, if Shane Dean is courageous enough to tell Bob you're done for the day. Maxville, nothing for 2. Count 2-2 from Tom Seaver, and Maxville will pop this one into right field for a base hit. Roger Maris, 1 for 2. Maris, first pitch swinging, drills this one out to center field, back and deep, and this is going to go all the way over Tommy Agee's head, and the Cardinals get on the board. The Cardinals finally get on the board. Down Maxville will score on the Maris RBI double, and it's 4-1. Nobody out, and we have a pinch hitter now, Johnny Edwards. So Bob Gibson's day is done. Johnny Edwards, as we will learn in 1968. Let's look at him just really quickly. So 3 home runs, 29 runs batted in, a 239 average, played in 85 games, had 252 plate appearances. Baseball is largely a homogenized product today. I think that's what it comes down to. Yeah. I think that's what... you're right. That is what it is. It's very white bread. It's very white bread, like Wonder Bread in that way, as terms of the characters, I think, and things like that. Crusader says, I think the ABS system will homogenize even more, unfortunately. Yeah, I know. I have to. I'm really. I don't know if I'm in the minority here, or if you and I are in the minority, Crusader. I am not a fan of the automatic, or that automated ball strike systems. It's already not doing such a great job, but yikes. Until they go offline, then you're going to have to take the umpires to do it. And the challenge rule. So if there's a challenge and your challenge is okay on a balls and strikes thing, then you get to keep that challenge. If not, come on. They've shown study after study after study after study after study have shown that baseball umpires know what they're doing, a higher degree of accuracy than officials in other sports. Just, you know what? Let's bring back the human into baseball. God, what are they going to do next? So, like, maybe sanitized is the right word, says JT Dutch. Baseball's a lot rougher around the edges back in the day, a lot grittier. Hell yeah. And you don't have to go back to the dead ball era for that. Baseball was tougher even in the 1990s than it is now. Grittier, I guess you might say. Yeah? And these guys here, look at these guys from the 1960s, man. They're playing some tough baseball, you know? All right, Seaver faces Edwards. 0-1 pitch. And the lefty swings. This one popped high in the infield, second base side, and out on the grass is Ken Boswell to make the grab. So one away now for Kurt Flood. He is 0 for 3. Marison scoring position with an RBI double. 2-2 pitch. And swung on, grounded to first. And up with that one, Art Shamsky. On to Tom Seaver. Maris moves to third, 2 down. Here's Dick Schofield. Came in as a pinch runner, stays in to play second. 1-1 pitch, and this one does get by Grody. And coming in to score is going to be Roger Maris. So now the Cardinals have cut the Mets' lead in half here with 2 down. Schofield now batting with the bases empty. Count 3-1. Schofield swings on a hitter's count. Does he make it count? Fly ball to deepish right field, and Swoboda on his horse pops it in the old saddlebag. But the St. Louis Cardinals pick up 2 runs on 2 hits. No errors. Nobody left on. I don't know if that was scored a wild pitch or a pass ball, however. We'll have to look at that later and see. It'd be a wild pitch because there's... Yeah, okay. So wild pitch. All right. We are in the bottom of the 8th. Art Shamsky, Tommy Agee, Jerry Grody due up. Shamsky, perfect 2 for 2 today at the plate. And Hal Gilson, I'm sorry, I said Gibson. Hal Gilson on now for the St. Louis Cardinals. Don't know a lot about this player. So let's look at him as a pitcher. So yeah, just 2 years in the major, 1 year in the major. So began with the Cardinals, ended with the Astros. And no wins, 2 losses, and really posted that record, right, with the Cardinals. Had 2 saves. So not a lot to say. Doesn't even look like he didn't even play the entire season with Houston. So there we go. For you Hal Gilson fans out there, he is on the mound. Never even heard of him. Yep, there he is, and a real baseball player wearing his Houston Astros livery. So there we go. Yeah, 1 season in the bigs. But he made it to the bigs. Got to give him that, right? All right, so Gilson, there we go. If you guys want to look at his ratings, there they are. All right. Be fun to put him in a... if you were playing career mode, put him in the player development lab and see what he could do, say, for 1969. Yeah, he has a uniform and everything, right? What's the deal here, Mr. Gilson? I wonder, that's such a short career. I wonder what happened with him. All right. And here's the pitch. And he's a lefty, too. And liner to short. Dow Maxwell has it for out number 1. So we see a little bit of live scoreboard out there. All right, here's Tommy Agee. Out of the Park Baseball, please do animated scoreboards someday soon. Wouldn't that be nice? 2-2 pitch. Tommy Agee looks at a called strike 3. So that went on a little cut job there by Hal Gilson, picking up the strikeout. 2 down for Jerry Grody, 1 for 3 and an RBI. And the 0-1 delivery. And Grody couldn't have thrown it in a better spot. Straight up the middle for a base hit. All right, brings up Bud Harrelson now, who's 1 for 3. 0-1 pitch to Harrelson. And swung on, sinking liner or soft liner out to right field. And right into the glove is Roger Maris. We head to the 9th inning. Mets lead the Cardinals 4-2 in this exhibition game. Wow, no idea about the animated scoreboard. Pretty spiff. Oh, so you didn't know about the live scoreboards. So some of them are going to show player pictures. and stuff like that, like the newer ballparks and stuff. The old ballparks don't have these, like with the hand operated ones. But yeah, this has been around since I think last year was the first year of the live scoreboards. And if we were playing in a more modern season, it would actually show right who would be on base up here and stuff like that, and a nice big player picture. All right, here's Orlando Cepeda. So we have the heart of the order for St. Louis. Last chance for them in this exhibition game. Cepeda, Brock, and Gagliano. Tom Seaver looking for a complete game win here. And here's the pitch to the baby bull, lined out his last time up. And this one is going to be a little fly ball out into shallow center field. And Boswell will vacate his position at second and pretend he is the second center fielder and make the grab. Larry Stahl now into play center field for the New York Mets. And no other defensive substitutions. Here comes Lou Brock. We saw him home run the other night in a completely different series. Brock 1 for 3. And here's the pitch from Tom Terrific. Brock swings, routine ground ball, second base. And that is Boswell to Shamsky. And St. Louis is down to its last hitter, and it'll be Phil Gagliano. Count full on Gagliano. And draws the walk, and the tying run comes to the plate. Seaver not happy with the call. Here's Tim McCarver, nothing for 3. Yeah, Stahl's right now, preseason, that's a 111 arm. That's kind of nuts. And that range, good God. I wish there was a widget that you could show like fielding stats out there as well. But yeah, that high defensive rating. See what happens through the season if I decide to even do 1968. First walk of the game for Seaver. Yeah, JT, you're absolutely right. All right, can Tim McCarver tie it up here? Can you do it, Tim? So 1967, he had 14 home runs and 69 runs batted in and a 295 average, but an 0 for 3 today for him. Seaver brings it home, the 2-1 pitch. McCarver struck out his last time out and drilled to left off the wall. Base hit. McCarver coming through clutch here with the extra base hit. It's not going to be an RBI, but 2 in scoring position, 2 down as Gagliano moves to third on the play, and it brings up the comparatively lighter hitting Dow Maxville. So Maxville in 1967, just 1 home run, 41 runs batted in. Just for giggles, let's see who St. Louis. Do they have any power left on the bench? They really don't. They really don't. In fact, just got Ed Spezio and Floyd Wicker left, and neither of them power hitters. I suppose Ed Spezio has a little bit more potential, but only because he hit 3 home runs in 1967. And Floyd Wicker, is this his rookie year? Well, he looks like a rookie, doesn't he? Yep, he's in his rookie year. All right. Let's get back to our game. Got a hit for Maxwell. Well, again, JT, there's nothing left. There's really nobody left. I mean, Maxville's just, yeah, I mean, yikes, yeah, nothing. There's just nothing on this St. Louis bench, man. We could ask Carlton to come in and pinch hit, I suppose. All right, we got to go with it. Maybe Maxville comes through clutch here. Let's see. 0-1 pitch. Maxville swings. This is your ball game. And up with that one is Art Shamsky on to Tom Seaver. And the St. Louis Cardinals, despite mounting a late game threat, are defeated 9-2 or 4-2 in a game that means nothing. So Out of the Park Baseball does not give you a recap when it's a preseason or exhibition game. Player of the game is Tom Seaver. Gibson, though, You got to talk about Bob Gibson here for a second. So 7 innings pitched, 4 earned runs, 9 strikeouts. Um, Tom Seaver, though, letting his defense do the work for him. 9 innings, just 1 earned run, 1 walk, 3 strikeouts. So that's it. Just a little bit of 1968 fun. And we're back. Cupboards bare, Mother Hubbard. Absolutely. That's it. So lots of things going on. I'm still waiting for the next beta to drop for Payoff Pitch Baseball. Really love the game, and hoping there's gonna be some great things for that. A very rare poor performance for 68 Gibson. Yeah, Gibson is gonna bounce back, man. This was just an exhibition game, meant nothing. It was just fun, but we know the kind of year that he is going to have, that he is going to have in 1968, or did have, I should say. Um, just well, it's not going to show 1968 yet, so that we have to go to real life stats, and then we can see everything as a pitcher. And there it is. That ERA is just nuts. And even when they raised the mound in 1969, still 2.18. But you look at these numbers, and you can see why the man, just great, not only intimidating but great. What would have been a good dust up would have been Bob Gibson versus Nolan Ryan. Could you imagine? How did he lose 9 games in 1968? How did that happen? Right? I mean, look at that year. That's just crazy. And 304 2/3 innings worked. I mean, just it's just crazy. That whip 0.85 in a WAR of 10.5. I mean, and you would almost say that's an anomalous year, but this was the year of the pitcher. So Yastrzemski wins the batting title, I think, with a 301 average um, that year over in the American League, of course. But same year that Denny McClain wins 31 games. But you look at Gibby's other years, right? And it's not sort of like Chief Wilson with that year we had all those, tons of triples and then it fell off. Gibson's still such a dominant pitcher. Um, just what a career! What a career! One of the greats. Um, besides what are you gonna do? Most of the games he lost were 1-0, 2-0, or 2-1. Says Tim. No run support. Yeah, right. That whip is crazy. It's just absolutely crazy. And then there's all kinds of expanding. Let's look at opponent batting stats um, for Gibson specifically. Let's look at 1968. So let me see. He faced 1,161 batters, allowed 198 hits, 12 home runs. Um, wow. So just 268 strikeouts, actually one less than the following year. Rick Guzman, he says, hey, Rick checking in from out west here in Arizona. Gonna have 100 degrees here in a few days. Yes, just before spring. Yeah, and here in PA, Rick, we went from 65 today. It's supposed to get down to 28 tonight and only 33 tomorrow. So, oof. Uh, but how you doing, Rick? Hope all is well. Thank you for stopping in, man. And making those of us who live in Pennsylvania and the Mid Atlantic and northeastern part of the country, right now we wouldn't mind yeah, you guys out there in the West, man, you guys are getting unusually warm weather. I know LA had some like weather in the 90s, and that's just for this time of year. I think they were getting that in February. JT Dutch says went to Arizona weekend before last. It was a perfect time, beautiful high 70s. And that's what you think of as Arizona this time of year, is in the high 70s, not 100 degrees. That's crazy. Freaky stuff going on, guys. Freaky stuff going on. So that's it. That's it. Relatively, our broadcasts have been coming in like regular game broadcasts at an hour and a half. So I think that would make a lot of people happy. I also love the fact that as it will go along, we're going to have like neutralized batting, pitching, all kinds of stuff. Um, oh, Gibby, man, he had 24, 19. Let's see, did he have any runs in 1968? No, he did not. His career high was five in 1965. Sorry, I love looking at stats. What can I say? All right. Anyhow, let's go back to the Tigers' home screen so we can end where we began. Well, guys, I want to thank you very much for coming in tonight. And for those of you, I hope that the little quick review tutorials about uniforms and ballparks helped you, and especially how to deal with that Cleveland team. So, got to finish first video out of the park. Pretty eager to dig into it this week. That was a long one, JT, but I went over a ton of things. There are some other guys that did some other videos that were much shorter, but most people play this game and you never see they never really do any field managing. You kind of see them hanging out in the front office and stuff like that. But I believe baseball is made to be played. Made to be played. Always a pleasure too to have you here, JT. We were supposed to have you tonight, or is that tomorrow night? I'm so confused. Please remind me next time. Come in, Nathaniel. When did you sneak in, man? Take care, brother. I hope you're doing well. I'm sorry if I missed you. I got like so focused on the damn game. I don't see you in here anywhere though. So, Nathaniel, thank you for coming in, and we'll continue your series, guys. Until the next time, familia. We'll see you around the batting cage. Good night, everybody.